Hey, guess what's happening on this week's episode of the Beating Diabetes Lifestyle Podcast with your friend and host, Oscar Camejo.
Hey, what's going on? It's me, the host of the Beating Diabetes Lifestyle Podcast, Oscar, your friend. Listen, folks, I'm talking to the men right now. Ladies, I got something for you too, but this episode is mainly for the men. It's going to be a real short episode. It is Men's Health Month. That's right, fellas, you know what that means. Come on, now I'm your friend and I got to talk to you straight. Fellas, we need to take our health serious. We take care of our families, our loved ones, and they depend on us, right? We may, help take care of the bills. We have businesses that we run. We may be traveling all around the country and we're just busy, busy, busy. Maybe we're taking the kids to football practice, softball practice, soccer, and all this other stuff going on. Plus, we have our own businesses to run. We have personal stuff going on. And sometimes, men, we are guilty of not taking care of ourselves. And I'm talking about health wise. That's our mental health, as well as our physical health and our emotional health as well. You know what, fellas? It's important for us to really pay attention to what we're doing to our body, right? In terms of exercise and whatnot. But most importantly, what we're putting in our body is equally important. So, fellas, this is what I want you to do. If you've been putting aside things like getting your nutrition in order, cutting back on the junk foods and not getting enough sleep, this is the month to go ahead and do a reset. Don't wait till the beginning of the year to do the New Year's resolution or something big that, you try to plan for. I want you to make the change today. Folks, listen, when I was 268 pounds, fellas, I felt bad about myself. I felt like I was a walrus. Yeah, a big old fat walrus. That's how I looked at myself. Yeah, I was kind of athletic growing up. I was mostly skinny. And then in my late 30s and into my 40s, I kind of let myself go. You know what I'm talking about. I had a pot belly. Some people call it a beer belly, even though I don't drink beer. But I really started feeling bad about myself, fellas. And I was like, man, how did I let myself go? Well, it was because I would stop paying attention to the things that I was putting in my body in terms of food. I was drinking a lot of high sugary drinks like soda, lemonade, fruit juices, sports drinks, sweet tea mixed with lemonade, and all kind of stuff, fellas. And I mean, I would just guzzle it down, with every meal. And on top of that, I was eating a lot of unhealthy foods. I mean, a whole bunch of pizza, hamburgers, hot dogs, processed foods, chips, popcorns. Um, man, I can just go on and on. But one of my biggest things that I knew was hard for me, and I knew I had to stop eating it and at least reduce it, it was rice, man. It was rice, bread, pasta, and potatoes. Fellas, I mean, it was something serious. But I had to get to the point where it's like, you know what, man? I'm 268 pounds. I'm overweight. I'm considered obese. I'm tired. I'm sluggish. And I was just not feeling good, man. Stuff was going on in my personal life, and it was just a whole bunch of stress and just stuff was going on. And on top of that, my eating. Yes, I turned to eating and I was eating more and more unhealthy foods. I guess they say as a comfort thing, but it was one of those things, man. It was that I was going through. And I know some of you who are out there, you may be watching me or listening to me right now, and you're like, man, that's me, Oscar. And I just really want to change my life. I want to get back healthy. Well, I want to encourage you today, fellas, you can turn things around. Listen, if I can do it at 268 pounds at the time, and this was August 2020, matter of fact, I was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. Now, if I can turn my life around, if I can lose the weight, if I can start eating healthy, if I could start putting more nutrients, good things in my body, so can you. Now, I know it may be a struggle. You may be busy, like I mentioned earlier, and you have a lot going on, but I want you to consider this for a moment. How long are you going to keep being busy? Too busy to take care of this body that you've been given, this body that God has given you. Hmm? I really think that now is a time for us as men to take our health serious. Now, that doesn't mean that you don't care, that I believe that you don't care about your health. I believe you do. It's just that sometimes we get so busy and we don't prioritize our health. I used to be one of those guys who got very little sleep at night. I used to get maybe 4 hours of sleep at night on a regular. I mean, during the week, fellas. And I would go to bed like at 2 o'clock in the morning and get up at 6, and that's just if I actually was able to sleep through the night. I was dealing with a whole bunch of food cravings and all kind of stuff. Now, this again was going on while I was having my issues with type 2 diabetes. Now, mind you, I didn't even know I had type 2 diabetes. I got diagnosed with type 2 diabetes in August 2020 after having an episode, if you will. And my doctor was like, hey, go to the emergency room right now. I had gotten a call after getting some blood work done. And it was like, yeah, it's time for you to go and get checked because your blood sugar levels are elevated. Man, they put me on an IV drop, a drip, if you will, because I was severely dehydrated. I was stressed out, man, all kind of stuff. And it was inside the hospital that I learned that I had type 2 diabetes. Now, listen, folks, I don't know about you, but I don't like hospitals because they're not meant for us to just be there all the time and just chronically or habitually going to the hospital sick and dealing with chronic illnesses and diseases. Man, I'm telling you, because I lived a very sick free life for most of my life. So to be hospitalized, it was crazy, man. So for a whole week, I was in the hospital and I had to make a decision. Did I want to live? Did I want to live out my life and live out my purpose? I didn't want to lose my life. And for sure, I did not want to lose limbs because I know people who've lost their lives due to diabetes complication. I know some people who've lost limbs because of diabetes complication. So I started this movement, if you will, the Beating Diabetes Lifestyle podcast, the website, the TikTok channel, the Instagram and Facebook, so I can create a greater awareness, not just about type 2 diabetes, even though that's primarily what I experience and what I want to help people who are struggling with, reverse. I want to help people live a focused life. I want to help people live a fit life. And I want to help people feel alive every day. And nutrition is very important. Exercise is very important. Our mental health is very important, fellas. So I, as your friend, need to emphasize and re-emphasize and re-emphasize that it's now is a time for you to get on the bandwagon and change your life around. Turn your life around, folks. Fellas, listen, I get it. Sometimes you may feel like, man, I'm just overwhelmed, Oscar. Maybe I used to be an athlete or I used to be involved in all kind of stuff when I was active. Maybe I was in the military, maybe I was this, hot shot. I don't know, whatever your industry is. And when you were younger and now you just feel like, man, I don't know what's going on with my life. I don't know what's going on with my health. And I'm just kind of nervous. Something that fellows, we have a tendency to do. We tend to operate in isolation, especially when we're going through stuff, whether it's emotionally, physically in our bodies. And we tend to just go in isolation and kind of just keep it to ourselves. And sometimes we don't even tell our loved ones. For those of you who are married, maybe you're dealing with stuff and your wife doesn't even know. Your kids don't even know. You may have one best friend or good friend that knows what you're dealing with, and he probably doesn't even know the full story. Or maybe you're carrying the weight of what's going on all by yourself. Well, I want to encourage you today, fellas. Stop going at this alone. You see, there's too many statistics of guys who are dealing with heart conditions, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, and type 2 diabetes and other issues. And they're just like, you know what, man, I'm just going to just let fate have its way. You know what I mean? Well, guys, you can turn your life around. Why not give it a shot? I just want to encourage you today. Listen, I run into people often, whether at the gym or out at the store. And whenever I have an opportunity to talk to people about health and wellness and turning their life around, I take that opportunity. And I want to do more of that. But right now, this is you and I having this talk. And I want to talk specifically to you, fellas. Again, because this is Men's Health Month, the month of June, I want you to prioritize your health. Now, that doesn't mean you neglect other things in your life. Of course not. It doesn't mean you neglect your wife and your kids and just focus on you. I'm not saying that. You know, I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is stop putting yourself on the back burner because I'm pretty sure your spouse and your kids want you to be around. They may not say it. Fellas, let's be honest. The kids may not ask you, "Hey dad, how you doing today?" They're probably not going to be in the habit, and they maybe are not in the habit of wondering and asking you, "How are you doing today? How are you feeling today?" Trust me, I get it. My kids are grown. They're in their 20s now and they're living their life. And yeah, there's some times where I want them to call dad and check up on dad, but it doesn't happen often. They do sometimes, but they're living their best life. So I applaud them. But you know what? You, as a dad, I want you to be encouraged. If no one else calls you and check up on you to see how you're doing, I want you to get up every day, look in the mirror, and ask yourself, "Hey, man, how you doing?" "Oh, yeah, really?" And be honest with yourself. So I'm not being facetious. I'm being serious, but I do want you all to be encouraged. Okay, fellas? So now here's a couple things that I need you to do. I need you to go get yourself checked by your physician. I don't know how long it's been since you've been to the doctor. It may have been years. It may have been the last time you had a complication. I don't know what that is, but what I can tell you and what I do need you to do is get up, go to the doctor. Don't worry about what the doctor may say or may not say, what they may find. I forgot who was it. I don't know if it was Benjamin Franklin or someone says an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. So find out early enough what may be going on in your body. It's okay. Sometimes we need to face the challenges so we can overcome the challenges. Okay. So that's number one. Definitely go get yourself checked. Now, specifically, get your blood work done. Now, that's whether or not you have type 2 diabetes or not. You just want to know what's going on in your body because that's life flowing through your veins. You want to know what's happening with your life. So find out, get your blood glucose tolerance test done, get your A1C test done. That's a check, how your blood sugar percentages have been over the last several months, roughly 3 months. You want to get that checked. You want to check for high cholesterol. You want to check for your blood pressure and so forth. So, and you may say, okay, well, Oscar, I've done all that and I already know that, I have these situations going on. Well, good for you. I definitely want you to know where you are. But if you're already on medication, if you're already, going to the doctor and so forth, I definitely want to applaud you for doing that. But I want you to take it to the next level. What about your exercise? What about your sleep? I mentioned about, how I used to sleep and my sleep regimen before, but I want you to re up or do better, if you will, when it comes to your sleep. I want you to do better when it comes to prioritizing what you put in your body. That's very important. Also, I want you to talk to somebody, whether it's a best friend, a good friend. You got to confide in people, whether it's your spouse or someone you trust. Maybe you're not married. Maybe you're a single guy. Find somebody that you can trust that's not going to body shame you, that's not going to make you, feel worse than you probably already are feeling. But I'm pretty sure you can find somebody, whether it be a mentor or, a cousin, a best friend. You get what I'm saying. Somebody you can really trust with what you're dealing with and that you can hold yourself accountable to. Now, when it comes to accountability, accountability is only accountability when there's truth and honesty in that circle of accountability, if you understand what I'm saying. So you got to be honest. Be honest first with yourself and be honest with the person that you're being accountable to. Because you know what? When you're being accountable to that person, yeah, you're telling them what's going on with you, but you're also trusting them with what you're dealing with. But here's the thing with that level of trust that you're giving them. I want you to be honest enough and courageous enough to ask them and let them know the type of support that you need from them. Because you see, I know it's tough, guys. Sometimes it's hard for us to go and put our stuff out there, put our business out there. But on top of that, I want you not only to overcome that apprehension of telling your business, overcome that, but I also want you to vocalize, hey, I need help. It's okay to ask for help. Fellas, let me say that again. It's okay to ask for help. It's not a sign of weakness. You're not less than a man because you're struggling with your food addictions, baby, your sugar addictions. You're not weak. You're struggling with something. So get over that. So I want to encourage you, man to man, to lift your head up, to be accountable to another man. Be accountable to someone that you can trust. Let them know the type of support and help that you need. Okay? Will you do that for me? And here's the last thing I want to do. I want you to take care of your heart. What do I mean by that? Sometimes when we're going through stuff, we're going through challenges, we're going through health challenges or emotional challenges, relationship challenges. Sometimes our heart, man, we just start really just feeling bad in our heart and we just feel like we're crushed. And sometimes we lack that motivation and we lack that inspiration and we just lack the desire. But you know what? You have to guard your heart, for out of your heart flows your power. It flows out of your heart flows the issues or the streams of life. So your heart, how do you guard your heart? Sometimes you got to watch what you're listening to. Watch who you're telling your business to. I told you to be accountable to someone, but be accountable to someone that you can trust, not someone that's going to the whole world know, hey, did you know Ralph is kind of dealing with, some health problems and man, I wish he would just get his act together. You don't need those type of people in your business. You know who I'm talking about. We all have those nosy people, those busybody people. So be mindful of what you're putting in your ear, what you're listening to, who you're listening to, who you're getting advice from, who you're talking to, so you can guard your heart. Because, sometimes the things that we hear affects what's going on in our heart. The other thing too, as you're on this journey toward good health, I want you to watch what you're watching. What do I mean by that? Okay, let's talk fitness for a moment because a lot of guys, when we start talking about health and whatnot, we automatically start thinking about, the exercise, building muscle, becoming stronger, and so forth. But sometimes we may watch the wrong thing. What do I mean by that? We start watching other people, other guys, and we see what they're doing, and we start comparing ourselves to what that other guy's doing. Because we're like, man, that guy is successful. I mean, a lot of us do it. We look at somebody who's successful, let's say in business, and we're like, man, you know what? I want to have that guy's success. So let me keep watching what they're doing. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with watching someone else's success, but don't pitch your tent and don't camp out in somebody else's yard watching their progress and not making any progress yourself. You see, sometimes when we're watching other people too long, we start trying to adopt what they're doing and we lose who we are. We start losing our sense of purpose, our sense of worth, and so forth. So don't keep paying attention to what somebody else is doing and trying to emulate what they're doing. Because you know what? Sometimes you'll get into that mode of comparison. And I've heard it said that comparison can be a thief to progress. So let me say that again. Comparison can be a thief to progress. So if you want to make progress when it comes to your health, your fitness, don't go to the gym and spend the whole time looking at the other guy who's built, who's ripped. Stop doing that. You don't need to do that. Focus on yourself and what you need to do to get your life in order, to get your health in order. Now, again, yeah, you may have an image, you may see an image of you, what you want to look like. That's okay. But don't try to do exactly what somebody else did because all you're going to do is struggle trying to get their results. We're looking to get you results that will be sustainable, that's going to last for a long time, that's going to be sustainable, that's going to be something that you can say, hey, this is my lifestyle. So I told you earlier when I was 268 pounds and I had my diabetes scare, the first thing that I was thinking about was, okay, I need to exercise because that's what I saw. That's what I thought. But I was adopting a mentality that I got from somebody else. And exercise is important, but you can't camp out on just exercise. There has to be a good balance of exercise and nutrition. Because you know what? You cannot out exercise a bad diet. You can't. I see people at the gym all the time. I mean, there's these muscular guys, they're jacked and whatnot, but I could tell that they're eating very poor diet. I'm not being judgmental. I'm just saying it's very important not to just focus on building muscles because let's be honest, how long are you going to be the Hulk? I mean, how long are you going to be able to sustain that? So, yeah, you may have the appearance of health, but on the inside, what's going on? If I'm seeing you struggling walking up and down the steps and you're talking about, man, yeah, I'm going out drinking tonight, with my buddies after we go working out. I mean, that's kind of defeats the purpose, don't you think? So, again, let me get off my soapbox where that's concerned because I want to encourage you guys. So, as I wrap up today's episode, I just want you to, again, just think about your health, folks. Fellas, it's Men's Health Month. I want you to take your health serious. Now, ladies, I know I said I was going to share something with you earlier. So, I'm going to take a quick moment. Now, the men in your life need your support. They don't need to be babysat, though. Okay. They need to be encouraged. They need your loving support. They don't need, and excuse me for saying this, but they don't need somebody hounding them like they're children, nagging them as if they're children. They need the loving support of the woman in their life, and that's you. Women, you have influence, and you have influence. Whether you're a mom influencing your son, whether you're a wife influencing your husband, ladies, you have the power of influence and persuasion. So I want you to lovingly persuade the men in your life to take their health serious. Now, how do you do that? Again, with your loving voice, your loving demeanor, encourage them to go get checked. Encourage them to let you know what's going on and how they're feeling. This is not the time to clown them and talk about their weight and I don't know what your relationship is like, but to be honest, most men don't like to be clowned about their weight. I know sometimes some guys try to act hard and whatnot, but some guys do that. Guys get hurt, as plain and simple. But don't you be the person that hurts the loved one in your life. Because words do matter. Words do have power, and words do have influence. Okay, ladies? So be the support that your spouse or the man in your life, the boyfriend, the son, the cousin, the uncle, the dad, that they need you to be. So if that means encouraging the man in your life to pick up the phone and call the doctor for himself, let him do that. Let him lead when it comes to his health journey. Don't do everything for him. Allow him to take those steps forward. He's going to appreciate that. Now, unless he says, hey, yeah, go ahead and make the call for me. I'm busy. I got to do X, Y, Z. Yeah, go ahead and do it. But don't try to force stuff down his throat. And that's another thing. One of the worst things you can do, ladies, if you're the one that's doing all the grocery shopping, right? This man likes certain things that may not be that healthy. Yeah, in some situations, you may have to put your foot down and be like, hey, nah, Richard, we're not buying any more chips and soda, right? That's it. And in other situations, you may have to gradually work through that. The dynamics of your relationship. Now, mothers to your sons who are still at home, yeah, y'all can control what you bring inside the house. And the teenagers, they have no choice. Ladies, I want you to help these men, the men in your life, the sons in your life, the uncles, the dads, and cousins, to take their health serious this month and moving forward. Okay. So I love you all. Fellas, hey, I'm with you. Ladies, I'm with you too. Y'all know that. So, in any case, as always, stay focused, keep moving, never go back, leap forward, and bounce back because you can, my friend. And above all else, trust God. I believe in you. You got this. Be sure to visit the website at www.beatingdiabetieslifestyle.com for access to free resources and other information that will help you along your journey. If you would like to submit a question or a comment about the show or to learn more about the Beating Diabetes Lifestyle, you can always email me at hello@beatingdiabetieslifestyle.com. And if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to this podcast.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to the Beating Diabetes Lifestyle Podcast with Oscar Camejo. We hope you enjoyed this episode. As a reminder, this podcast is intended for motivational and educational purposes only. It is not a substitute for professional care by a physician or other healthcare professional or qualified fitness instructor. This podcast is provided on the understanding that it does not constitute medical or professional advice or services. If you're looking for help on your journey, seek a qualified medical practitioner. It's important that you utilize someone who is a trained, licensed healthcare professional who can help you on your journey toward good health.